so many times when I've been for different job interviews, we've been stuck talking about running because I think an employer is really interested in that you've got something else and you've got a passion. So yeah, definitely you need to bring that out more if you're not very confident about being employed.
Hello and welcome to Find Your Force. This podcast is here to help you discover your career potential. I'm your host, Hope, and in this season we're talking all about how sport can help you find your true career calling. Whether you're taking the first or next step in your career, our advice and stories are here to help you find your force. In this episode, we're on the athletics track, and I'll be chatting to Chloe all about how her sport can help you find your career potential. She'll also be putting me through my paces on the running track. So let's get started.
Do you think, had you not have played football, you would be as good as you are at your job?
You said she was good.
Yeah, how about I just do the pedals and you do the wheel?
Well, you need to let go of the pedals first.
Come on, that beat you. I'll go for a rest.
Hello, Chloe. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
How are you feeling? Oh, yeah, good. A familiar place for you.
Very familiar, yeah.
So let's dive straight in. When did this love for running start?
So I started running when I was 10, and it's basically only because my parents tried to get me into every sport, and it was just like, what is wrong with this child? They wanted me to swim, and I was drowning at the other end of the pool. I wanted to do gymnastics, and that was just no. So running's cheap, get some trainers, see if she can run around the track, and I absolutely loved it. That's the only sport I've really committed to since.
I bet they wish they'd discovered your love for running and your passion for it before spending money on the others. Interesting. So what is it about running that you love?
I just love the way it makes you feel when I'm out there. You're just sort of in control of it. It's your sport. I'm not a team sport person. You just feel so good when you finish. I love competing. I wouldn't say I wake up every morning like, oh, I can't wait to go and run 20 miles today. But that feeling when you've finished, and I love racing so much. So, your training's always geared to that every day. So yeah, it's just, I love it.
You said that you're not a team sport kind of person. Why is that?
As in more like I can't play team sports. As in when it's a team for athletics, great. But if I'm playing netball or football, like at school where we played rounders, everyone's like, oh, send Chloe out far, she's really fast. And I'd pick up the ball and I'd be like, and they'd be like, oh my God. So yeah, it's not that I'm not a team player. I just physically am awful at team sport. So yeah, not for me.
Well, that makes sense. At least you've tried everything else to discover that.
Yeah.
So you said there that you're quite fast, or people at school said you were quite fast. Does that mean you're a sprinter? Are you kind of long distance? What kind of running do you do?
No, always long distance. I'm okay over the shorter stuff. I did a little bit when I was younger, but I'm definitely not. I'm just better at long distance, definitely.
I'm sure some people would say long distance is more difficult because it's more sustained for a longer period. How do you keep going when your body's kind of saying, come on, we can stop now, we're done?
I remember getting to 20 miles of Manchester Marathon last year, oh my God, this hurts. But I knew what time I was on for, and I think that always, if you're having a good day, you can see what time you're on for, and I don't know, you just get yourself to that finish line. So
what determines a good day versus a bad day?
It can be anything. So sometimes your prep isn't ideal, you don't feel good on the day, you might have overtrained a bit, not slowed down for the race. So those days you just have to look at it in a different light. I'm not going to run at times today, but there's going to be a good training session. I ran for England last year in Barcelona before Manchester Marathon, and the whole way around I was like, this is such hard work today, but I was thinking, I'm still going to get something out of this. It's a hard 13 miles, which I wouldn't have done without the race. I'm running for England. So yeah, some days it's just not there, and everyone gets it, even the best.
We'll talk about that more in a moment because that's really interesting. But do you feel like you have to know yourself and listen to your body when you are having a day where maybe you can't push yourself to the max?
Yes, and I'm not very good at that. So I ran European 50k championships last year, and up to it wasn't feeling amazing. I was having a few niggles here and there, and people were like, oh, why don't you not run? And I was like, well, no, I'm running for Great Britain, it's not an option. So I went 31 miles. It's not nice. So I have learned from that race. Your body tells you when it's not feeling amazing, and there's always a reason. And top athletes try and ignore these massive warnings sometimes. So you learn with experience. But yeah, it's not always there, and when you train in a lot, these things happen. So
Talk to me about rest and recovery. How important is that?
so I've learned definitely over the last few years it's so important, especially when you move to marathon. It's so easy to not like respect the sport and think, oh, I can get back running in the next week. But no, rest and recovery is so important. So I've definitely learnt my lesson after Manchester when I tried to rush back into training.
You touched on a few marathons that you've completed. Where have you done those?
So I've actually done 2. Sort of accidentally fell into.
Only done 2.
Well, yeah, like I feel like that's not really like a proper marathon career yet. But yeah, I did London and Manchester, and absolutely loved them. And I'm dying to get on the start line.
Which one did you prefer?
So I preferred London, but I had like the race of my life at Manchester. So like Manchester is sort of a special marathon for me now, but London, amazing. I'd do that again for sure.
And with the London Marathon, and I say this because I have looked into doing it before,
You should.
you normally have to have a charity or someone that you're kind of representing. How did it work for you?
So the RAF are actually amazing with marathons. It's the Inter-Service Marathon Championships. So if you can be like, to be fair, a lot of people can get in because people aren't keen to do it. They offer team places, the RAF. So if you can run like a decent marathon, like you're pretty much going to get a spot through the RAF. So yeah.
So running the marathon as the Royal Air Force, how much pride did that fill you with?
So much. I even had my little blue ribbons in my hair, which all the girls always take the mick out of me for, but I get so excited to run for the RAF. And when you're out there, you just get so much support. Like, yeah, people are like, go on RAF, and it's just like, oh, like, it's just so nice. And there's just something more special about running for the RAF than a normal club. I think people have a lot of respect for military people, and the fact that we're out there running the marathon, yeah, I love competing. I always wear my vest. Any race I go and do, I'll have my RAF vest on.
So that's just one example of how the Royal Air Force supports you. What else does it do?
So like training camps, I'm going to Switzerland for 4 weeks next week. And as a high performing athlete, you're entitled to 90 days leave extra. I tell people this and they're like, what? Because that's just not heard of.
That's 3 months.
Yeah. So I get that time out to go and train, compete. You just wouldn't get that in a normal job. Like before the RAF, I was balancing, trying to train before and after work. I couldn't have gone on training camps. So I think that's the big thing, like, that I really appreciate, that sort of support and time out of work.
Did they help you with any funding for like equipment, kit, or anything like that?
So Central Funds provide us a sponsorship every year. So I get that off them, and that is towards equipment, sports clothing. I'm also sponsored by Aquila Air Traffic Management Services that do a lot of work with the RAF. They give me money every year to help with training camps. I went to Kenya in January, so they sort of funded that. So yeah, through the military I did that.
And what is the Central Fund you mentioned?
Central Fund Sports Lottery. So everyone sort of puts money in it every month. I think it's 6 tickets, and then every month you'll put into a lottery. But the money they make from that is given towards all sports people in the RAF. It's not just elite athletes. If you run a bit of a lower level or most of what lower level, as long as you're out there representing the RAF, then willing to support.
So why did you join the Royal Air Force?
So I've always wanted to join the military from a young age. I went to a few sort of army sports days with school, and I was like, I love this, like assault courses. And everyone was like, God, look at you, I just loved it. So I always just had that like love for the military. I don't have any family, like my mum and dad, not really into military. We usually find that people had parents in the military. So I went to a reserve centre in Worcester, which was my local one, and just said, I'm thinking of joining the army. Can I get some advice? And he was like, well, firstly, this is a reserve centre. And I was like, oh, I didn't realise. And he was like, what do you want to do? I said I wanted to be a physical training instructor. And he said, well, you can't do that in the army. It's not a direct role. why don't you consider the RAF? And when I sort of told him my times, he was like, yeah, you should definitely join the military. They support sports so much. But he said, if I'm being completely honest, we do want you in the army, but try the RAF if you want physical training instructor. So I went to my AFCO in Birmingham. I was like, I want to be a training instructor in the RAF, please. So I got my interview and completely failed. And they were like, you need to come back in 6 months. So I was like, tried again, failed again. So went to the AFCO and just said, put me in any trade, I just want to get it. So yeah, that's the way I got into the RAF.
So first and foremost, what is AFCO for those who might not know?
So it's your recruitment centre for armed forces. It'll be in your local town. And they're so good in there. They know everything about every trade. They know how good they support you with sport. Any questions you've got. I know people that have just gone in there. I met one woman who went in there to keep dry when she was waiting for the bus. And now she's been in the army for like 15 years and loves it. I think you go in there and you don't realise actually, what is available in the military. So it's worth going in and just having a chat with them and seeing what it's about.
And you said you failed, but you're sitting here now. So what happened? Why did you fail and what did you do after that happened?
So I really wanted to be a PTI and I went for my first interview and bleep test went great. And then there was a section where you had to play sports. So the first one was football and you had to dribble the football around cones. And I sort of went kicked the ball and lost the ball. And I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And everyone was like, wow, you can't kick a football. So I thought, right, next sport, badminton, just this on the shuttlecock every time. And I was like, and they were like, you need to work in this sport. Because obviously being a PTI, you need to be an all-rounder.
What is a PTI? Is it a person pretty?
Physical training instructor.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just said go away for 6 months, maybe practice a bit of
coordination.
Yes, I lack that. Went away for 6 months and they said it's better, but then they wanted girls to be able to do pull-ups and I think I managed 1.5 and they weren't proper ones. So again, they said another 6 months and I was like, I'm not waiting 6 months. I really want to get in the military. So that's when I went back to the AFCO and joined in any trade. I was like, anything, I just want to get in.
It's interesting because the Royal Air Force was just a door for you to have this role that you wanted, the PTI role. That door kind of seemingly closed and then it was the Royal Air Force was the new goal. So it kind of draw you in, didn't it?
Definitely. I knew people in the RAF already, 2 runners actually, and when you invest so much time and I've been training for PTI and doing my research into where I wanted to be based, I was just invested on this lifestyle. So I was like, I'll go in as anything that doesn't have an interview where I can get straight in as quick as possible. And yeah, I love my job now, so it's all worked out really well.
So what is the job that you do now?
So the trade name is Air and Space Operations Specialist. So it's air operations. At the minute, I'm at quite a nice little job down at Gatwick Airport, which is quite a rare job. I work alongside the Civilian Aviation Authority, dealing with any sort of airspace activity going on across the country and across Europe sometimes. Like the fly past for the coronation, we did all that work for that. So that was actually really cool to see it in place. You were like, oh, I've had a little job involvement in that. So that was really cool. But yeah, I love it. It's really good.
You mentioned failing. I don't like that word. It sounds like the kind of end to something, but it's not. It's just a setback. Have you taken that experience that you learnt from that in terms of, okay, I might not always get the first thing that I want, but it can lead to other things. Have you taken that into your working life?
100%. I know it sounds really cliche, but I do think things happen for a reason. And I clearly wasn't meant to be a physical training instructor. And actually the trade I do now, I love so much that I want to commission and go as an officer, but in this trade. So I think you should just never give up, because I could have easily been like, oh, I can't be bothered. So go to the AFCO, look for another trade and go through it all again. But if you don't give up, things work out. I think things are never easy. Hard work always pays off with its sport work. So yeah, definitely don't give up, try again, and things do work out.
What other skills or experience has being a runner given you in the rest of your kind of life and world?
So I'm so disciplined, and it's definitely come from the running. So from like 16, I'd be up before school getting a run done. After school, getting a double day in. So you have to be really organised. So it's that disciplined mentality, which is why I think it must have been like why I thought military was for me. I'm really motivated. I'm always looking at the net. Oh, what can I do now? What can I do now? Which is why I'm trying to commission at the moment and go officer, because I feel like I can't settle with things. I want a challenge, and that must have come from my running, because once I've done one marathon, I'm like, oh, when's the next one? So there are so many skills with running that you find like lead into your day-to-day life.
Do you find that because you're just an individual who's running by yourself, you mentioned the team sports earlier, you're a good team player, but the coordination, not so much. Do you feel like that gives you more focus at work or just in general life?
Yeah, definitely. I focus so much on the running, but it's nice to have that break sometimes, because you're so like this with running. So it's nice to think, oh, now I can focus on work. It is an individual sport, and you have to be motivated, because I don't have someone saying, come on, let's go for a run now. So it's like it's on me, or it doesn't happen. So it's like at work, like if I don't get it done, no one's going to do it for me. So it all sort of definitely all links.
How to manage it in terms of your running schedule and training with your job? I know that you mentioned the 90 days to get off extra because you're the athlete, but how else do you manage it on a daily basis?
So the RF are really good at, say I wanted an extended lunch to run at lunch. You do get that. If you want to do your sport within the day job, they are really good at accommodating that. I used to work at Bryce Norton 70 Squadron, and they all loved the fact that I ran. So I'd get a 2-hour lunch to get out for a run, get back, get showered, have some food, and get back to the desk. And then maybe I'd stay a bit longer if there was stuff that needed to be done. So I think with the military that helps a lot. And then any other time it's just a case of getting on with it. So sometimes it is like a 5:30 alarm. I've been working at RIAT, which is the air display show this week. So that was a case of I had to get up at 5 a.m. and run beforehand. But if you want to do it, you'll do it. And it feels so good getting it done early. No matter how horrible the alarm feels, it's nice feeling, getting it done, and you've set up for the day then.
Talk to me about the mental side of it. We've kind of focused on the fact that you've got to be a determined individual. What else does it provide?
So it's not easy. Running comes like with injuries. So you have to be quite an optimistic person. You get an injury and it's like, oh, I need to focus on, the next thing, the rehab. Marathon running in general is mentally hard. It's 26 miles, and when you're going out to run a certain pace, everyone's like, what do you always think about? That's what everyone always asks, what do you think about when you're out running or doing a marathon? I'm trying not to think that it's 26 miles. I'm trying to think of the next mile and the next mile, if I'm out jogging, I'm just thinking about what's for dinner, or just...
Oh, I need to do my washing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot my washing. Just things like that. But, yeah, mentally, it is tough. But it makes you mentally stronger. So it's a good sport. I love it.
Talk to me about any friendships that you've made throughout your running career.
So most of my really close friends have come from running, because when you go away on training camps or races, you become so close. From the age of 16, running at English schools or going with England, I've got some really good friends. I actually met my boyfriend through running. So yeah, running has brought a lot to my life with friends and boyfriends. So yeah.
I mean, you've been doing it for basically ever, so it's your whole world, isn't it?
Yeah, I forget. I was thinking, 10 years, and then I'm like, God, how old am I? It's like, I've been for 15 years. So it's, crazy. But yeah, it feels like I've run forever, so.
Everyone knows, or they should, that with the Royal Air Force, you do travel quite a lot. There is a possibility there that you'll be deployed or what have you. And you mentioned these training camps as well. Where have you been with your running with the Royal Air Force?
So they've not actually been Royal Air Force camps, but they provide me with the time to go away. I know so many sports have actual RAF team camps. Athletics is different, because with a team, we're not an elite team. We just have a few elites. So it's hard to get a camp together. but that's why they give you the time to go away. So in January, I went to Kenya altitude training for 4 weeks, which was an amazing experience. Yeah. So you're basically at 8,000 feet training. So there's very minimal oxygen, and it makes you just more efficient. So it's very hard because I couldn't breathe the whole time. And you'd have Kenyan runners running past you like, morning, and you're like, oh my goodness, like, how can you run like that? So it was just such an eye-opener to see where the best marathon runners in the world, and it's very clear why. So yeah, that was an amazing experience. I went to south of France last year, altitude training again for 4 weeks. And then I'm going to Switzerland next week for 4 weeks, altitude training again. So yeah, the RAF fully support that. They want you to go away and train because at the end of the day, you're representing them. So it looks good on them when you run well. So yeah, they're very supportive for that.
If someone's watching or listening to this and they have got the same passion you've got for running, they wake up in the morning like you do and go for a run before school or work, how can they transfer that into being employable?
If they have that passion, you're so employable because you've got something about you and you're competitive and you've got a lot of discipline to get up early and go out for a run. And there are so many people out there that actually love doing that. People often say to me, I need to get more into running and join the RAF because you're never at work. You're always doing sport. And I'm like, it's time for sport. It is work. That's what it is in the RAF. It is part of, it is part of your job. So people that think they aren't employable, but they're the type of person that gets up at 6 a.m. and goes out for a run or does the local park run on a Saturday, those sort of people are who people want to employ. That not a lot of people want to do that. And it's amazing to see from an employment point of view. So many times when I've been for different job interviews, we've been stuck talking about running because I think an employer is really interested in that you've got something else and you've got a passion. So yeah, definitely you need to bring that out more if you're not very confident about being employed.
Talk to me more about the Elite Athlete Scheme. We've touched on it a little bit. How do you get to that stage?
So the Elite Athlete Scheme, you have to be representing England, Great Britain. So I've not actually taken the Elite Scheme just yet. I have ran for England GB last year, so it is there for me when I'm ready. But it's 2 years, so it's easy to be like, yeah, I'll take it now, 2 years off. But it's you want to time it well. So maybe in the next few years I'll be closer to the Olympic world standard for marathon, and that'll be the time where I'm going to be like, take it now. So that's why I'm sticking with High Performance Athlete Scheme at the moment, which, like I said, is 90 extra days. So yeah, they're both amazing schemes. But the Elite Scheme would be 2 years, full-time runner or whatever sport you pick to do.
So the difference is that the high performance one, you get extra days and some funding sometimes for kit and what have you, the lottery. With the other one, the elite one, you don't do a job, you just do your sport.
You're just a full-time athlete for those 2 years.
Is the elite side of things, is that furthest you can go with the running?
So within the RAF, the most you can get is the Elite Scheme, which is the 2 years off. But if you were to be an Olympian by the end of it or running world class, there would be room to negotiate and extend that. People have gone professional outside of the Royal Air Force, so they are going to then give you that time to be professional and do what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, you're representing the RAF, and that looks so good on them. So Elite Scheme with the RAF, yep, furthest you can go, but you can go on to be professional, and then come back to the military whenever you're ready to. So all options are there for you.
It's also quite interesting because it's kind of a safety net in a way for elite athletes. If they do get an injury and have to retire early, if you're a pro outside of the Royal Air Force, that's it, isn't it? You've got to retire. But if you're in the Royal Air Force, I imagine you can go back and do your job.
Exactly. I mean, I got a stress fracture at the beginning of the year, and for a runner, these things happen and you have to just sort of deal with it. But if I'd have been a full-time elite runner, I don't think I'd know what to do with myself, but I could go to my day job and be distracted and have people there, and I'd got that job, and that's when I put my application in to go into an officer role, because then you've got that amazing career, but actually you've got the sport as well. So it's such a good balance.
Well, I've got to be honest with you, Chloe. I ran a 10K, but it was many years ago, and I haven't done much running since. And I believe you're going to set me a challenge. What is that challenge?
Well, it won't be a team sport because I'll lose. So we'll do a little running challenge, I think.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, let's get to it.
Okay.
Did you know working in the Royal Air Force is about discovering your natural talent and working out together what makes you valuable, productive, and happy? From the chefs to the jet pilots they send out on full stomachs, the Royal Air Force is full of ordinary folks just like you who came to us with nothing more than an aim to lead a life less ordinary. Go and check out Life at the Royal Air Force. It's just a click or a tap away from this episode. Okay, so the hoodie's off, I'm in my sports gear, I'm ready. What are we doing?
We're going to do just one lap of the track. I'm going to give you a head start.
Okay, so how do you get this track?
So it's a 400 metre track. So 400 metres, that's all we've got to run.
Sounds a lot. It's not a lot for you, is it?
No.
What do we need to do in order to get ready to run? Is there any particular stretches that you'd recommend for this distance?
Any sort of stretching to get our legs ready. So if we do like a simple one, nice calf stretch, and then I'll just do some drills usually. So just like heel flicks, and then like maybe some high knees. Then you might just want to like touch your toes, stretch out a little bit. Something like this will really stretch out like all of your like hamstrings.
You get PTI after all. Right. Okay, so I've got to run all the way around. Is pace important for this challenge, or is it a case of me getting round?
So it's only a lap, so I'd go for it from the beginning.
I'm not Mo Farah. Should I do all this bit?
Yeah, you got to do it, yeah.
How do I do that?
I don't even know, I don't this. Back on your mark. Woo! And then get set, do this up, and then go.
Give me half an hour before you start.
Start sprinting really fast.
I can't. I'm really fast. Yeah.
Come on, halfway.
It's okay, go about me. Oh. Oh man. Oh. I don't think I'm going to start running.
Yeah.
Oh man. It is satisfying once you've done it.
Isn't it? You get this sense of like, I've achieved something for my day, nice little run out.
Can you give the audience one kind of last nugget of advice or
Yeah.
something key?
Yeah, definitely. So running opens up so many doors. I've run since I was young and it's got me into sixth form because I got a sports scholarship, got me a sports scholarship at university. Even if you're just like a park runner on a Saturday or, you know, you just do the odd race, it's definitely worth just keeping it going and seeing what other doors it can open. I know so many runners that are runners now because of the RAF. It started initially because they're like, oh, I get a Wednesday afternoon off if I do cross country. And now they love it and they're doing half marathons and 10Ks. So, you know, if you've ever considered military and you love running, you love sport, definitely just go and get some advice. So yeah, just give it a go.
Give it a whirl.
Give it a go, yeah.
Well, Chloe, thank you so much for
You're
sharing your
welcome.
story and have fun in Switzerland next week.
Thank you. Thanks, I will.
And thank you for listening or watching this episode. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes like this one, and why not share with anyone who wants to find their career potential?
It is a cliche, but there literally is something for everyone in the air.
She did.
There is.
She did.
There is.
Read
There
that.
is something for everyone. There is.
I was going to ask you if someone...